Can't hear Matt.
Oh no.
Hi, freaks, and welcome. Scared you. It's always fun here at the Horror Movie Freaks studio and going live. So we're sorry we're late, but joining me tonight is the lovely Sue. How are we, Sue?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Looking lovely. I'm good, thank you. Looking lovely in purple tonight. Purple hair, purple top.
I try to coordinate.
Have we got our coffee cup ready? What's on the coffee cup this time?
Little Miss Squiggles.
Oh, nice. Every week, every fortnight, it's a different cup. Also joining us is Nathan. Hello, Nathan.
Hello.
Oh, someone's in costume tonight.
I'm going to trim some hedges after this.
Oh, right.
Very Edward Scissorhands.
Trimming the bush. So what's on your t-shirt, Nathan?
Hollywood bail bonds.
Oh, is this the other job you were telling me about, that you're out going around collecting debts?
Yeah, just like give people shonky loans whenever they need it, when they're in trouble.
Right.
High interest.
And have we got a drink tonight, Nathan?
We do. Cheers.
Water?
What is it?
No, vodka tonic.
Oh, nice. You almost had us disappointed. So tonight is an exciting night because it's the first of our Nightmare on Elm Street box sets, which I know Sue is very excited about. So tonight we're looking at Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, the very original, not the reboot, not any of the sequels, but the original. And then on the 9th of December, we're going into the second one, so Freddy's Revenge, which is apparently the gay one. I don't really remember that one very much. And then on the 23rd of December, just before Christmas, we're going to be going into what I think is one of the highlights, which is Dream Warriors with Patricia Arquette. Looking forward to that. Sue, have you been looking forward to this box set?
Yes, I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, it actually ties with Texas Chainsaw to be my number one, generally, horror film.
Okay.
So
I'm more shocked that Texas Chainsaw rates that high for you. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're both my number. I mean, my number one films are It 1 and 2, which are horrors, but my number one horrors are different because I don't feel like you know what I mean? Like they're scary and so I feel like they're different categories.
Sounds like a complicated system, but I'm surprised that you put them both on the same thing. I thought Nightmare would have pipped Texas Chainsaw. Nathan, this is probably falling into your wheelhouse as well. You're a bit of a Wes Craven fan, more on the Scream side. Am I right?
Yeah, I haven't seen these movies, until we just watched Nightmare this week, but I hadn't seen them for a very long time, so I'd actually forgotten a fair bit about them. But watching it again and having seen Scream so many times, there's quite a few similarities.
There is quite a few similarities, which we'll get into in a minute. Shall we just watch the trailer to begin with, though?
Sure.
Please.
Let's get into that.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You could just see cuts happen.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
What has the coroner got to say? He's in the jaw and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No!
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay, so that is the trailer in its glory with the very 1980s in a world before.
I think that trailer had a lot of spoilers.
It did have a lot of spoilers. Sort of just covered everything.
Yeah.
So getting into the stats, so Nightmare on Elm Street was released on the 9th of November 1984, which is the same year that the last film that we reviewed, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, was also released in 1984. So
Awesome year.
what a great way to segue into this box set. And the director, of course, is the legendary legend Wes Craven. The budget was $1.1 million, and the box office for this was $57 million. On IMDb, it gets quite reasonable for a horror film, 7.5. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it's an extremely good review rate, which is 95%.
Oh, excellent.
So that is very good. Surprising, yeah, like I said, for horror. Horrors normally don't do as well. Interestingly, with Friday the 13th Part 4, the budget was, I think, at least double the amount, and it did quite a bit less. I think it was 30-something million. So, yeah, interesting.
Maybe that's, the law of diminishing returns for sequels as well.
That is true. That is true,
Yeah.
Nathan. Always the statistician.
It applies for
I've
horror
always said
movies.
that about Nathan.
What a statistician.
No one
Yeah.
said
Whew, what a statistician.
Should we get into the production side of it? So Nathan, you're, like I said, a fan of Scream, and you saw some similarities. Did you see some similarities into the look of the films?
Probably not so much the look, just a few of the scenes. Like, there's a scene later in the movie where Nancy and what's his name again, Glenn, Johnny Depp's character, he crawls in through a bedroom window and they have a bit of a chat. And it
that was
very much reminded me of one with Nev Campbell and Skate in Scream.
I thought the lighting, I don't know if it's the same cinematographers, but the lighting was very similar to Scream.
Yeah,
like
I
the way
can see
they
that too.
light everything, like it's quite a bit of it shot at night for both films, and it's kind of that very blue, very kind of overlit, like it's like a full moon sort of night, which I actually like. And it's a lot of smoke. There's one shot in there where it's like the moonlight's like shining through the trees, and it's like all that smoke or fog, and yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, that's also a very 80s look, though, isn't it? Like how they did that in a lot of music videos and that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
it was
it's
very much
like
of a time.
thriller.
Yeah,
And he really liked that whole, horror in suburbia feel. So he did that. That was in both films, really.
What did you think of the music?
I loved it.
Did you?
lots of very cool 80s synth. Again, very much of its time, but I think that was a big part of the appeal.
I love synth. Synth is awesome. So yeah, anytime that's in a movie, I'm happy.
Would you like it in a film now, Sue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's still indie horrors that I review that have synth soundtracks, and I'm right away like, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Still
Well,
good.
not even
It
just-
depends on the type of story, but
Yeah.
Not even just horrors, but like Thor Ragnarok. So big superhero movie, great synth soundtrack as well.
Mm,
Very 80s.
yeah. I think if it's a good sound all round, but it
As
has
long
to
as
be
it fits with
appropriate.
the movie.
Yeah, it has to be appropriate for the genre, definitely.
And then even Stranger Things TV show, similar sort of thing. But again, that's of an era.
Set in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting soundtrack. I don't know, probably for me, like I do prefer the more traditional horror sound like we have in Friday the 13th or that Psycho sort of style, but I do appreciate it. I wouldn't want it to change for this movie. Like I do like it for this movie, which is so quintessentially 80s.
Yeah. Well, when I see this movie and when I hear the soundtrack and like look at the visuals and that sort of stuff, it just takes me back to like being in an 80s video shop. Very much that sort of vibe, just like fun nights with lots of lollies and silly props and all that sort of stuff. It's just fun.
This isn't when you were working there, was it?
No, I'm not that old.
No, when you were.
Oh, the shade. But no, back to, like, even being like as a kid, when I wasn't allowed to go in the horror movie section, that sort of stuff, I'd go down to the video shop with my dad and we'd choose some movie. But I'd always have a bit of a wander past the horror movie section and like look at the stuff I shouldn't be looking at, like the covers, you know, when they were like all sort of embossed and gory looking and that sort of stuff.
All lurid. And they were always at the back in that little sealed off section right next to like the porn section.
Yeah.
So it was like
which really, as we know now, is not porn.
Yeah. It was 80s porn. It was like
R-rated porn. What was that?
Light porn.
Maybe we should review some of those.
Erotic thrillers.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Let's have a look at the cast. So I think the cast was one of the strengths of the film, except for the actual star of the film, who I can't stand, as you know.
Not a Nancy fan?
Heather Langenkorp's like is not my tastes. What about you guys?
You say that, Bob, because I was watching.
I love
that
her. I think she's great.
I think she's quite good in this, but at the same time, it feels very cheesy. Like she doesn't feel like a professional actor. She feels like kind of an amateur going through the lines.
Okay, she just feels very real to me rather than amateur.
See, I thought her range wasn't great. Like I would have loved to seen it maybe with someone else. Like I did like Tina, and I did like the way that Tina seemed to be the star, like more of the it girl, and they killed her off. So that was quite a good start to the film. A bit of a trope that sort of was picked up.
Was she a star? I didn't even know who she was.
Oh no, that like she is a star, but like she seemed more of the final girl type.
Oh, okay.
She was in Better Off Dead. She's been in a few things, but she was mostly in Better Off Dead.
But she wasn't like a Drew Barrymore, is what I mean. Like she's she was just like seemed like she was set up to be the lead.
Yeah.
And then Nancy sort of came up through the film. She didn't really do that much after.
But Nancy's got a good scream too. I really like her scream. She does.
I didn't know that.
Glenn does. She's got a really good scream.
And then there was that guy, Glenn, who's Johnny Depp. I never heard of him before. I don't know what he's done afterwards. But I'm not a huge Johnny Depp fan normally. Like, not like he's obviously has the X Factor. He's a huge star. Like, I get that. But I never find him attractive. But I thought he was very attractive in this film.
I've loved him in 21 Jump Street. I had such a crush on him.
Is this before or after 21 Jump Street, or during?
Before. 3 years before.
Oh, wow, that long before. Okay.
Yeah. Jump Street was 87. He did a few things before that. Like he was in Platoon and a few other bits and pieces, but that was his big starring role, was in 21 Jump Street.
Okay.
So Platoon was after this and then before 21 Jump Street?
Platoon was in between, yeah.
I thought he was very good in this.
Big role. Yeah, he was good. Definitely presence.
What did you think of the other two? So Tina and Rod.
Rod didn't make that much of an impression on me. Tina, I thought she was good though. I would have liked to have seen more of her.
Was there anyone
a little bit of a cliche, but that's okay because that's the role he's playing. But he was totally that.
He seemed like he was out of Grease, like the cast of Grease or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Grease too.
The scene, when he's talking to her and saying that he didn't do it, and he's got a little bit more vulnerability in that scene, which I thought was good.
What about, like, I don't know, like I'm treading lightly now because of your Nancy love, but what about if we step up and go Marge, like Nancy's mother?
Mother? I hate how she calls her mother. That
even when she's like being sucked into hell.
Right. Mother. I know. Like, why does she call call him daddy and she's mother. Like, that's so weird.
Some late teenage girls do that.
No, they don't. But
No, I don't think so.
I thought Ronnie Blakely was terrible. I don't know where she came from, like what her background is or anything,
That's
but
mum.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of people hate her.
Really, I didn't hate her.
I
She
didn't hate her.
reminded
She doesn't
me.
bother me.
She's a little bit daytime soap, but she also reminded me of just like a little bit Virginia Madsen, but slightly older.
Yeah.
yeah, I
get
can see
that
the
feeling
Virginia
too.
Madsen, but yeah, like her, she just had the one note. And it was like that. Oh, I'm drunk. Like, oh, what are you doing, Nancy? Oh. Wasn't that a great impression? Like bottles hidden like in the linen press and
It was kind of funny, you know, when they were at the funeral and then afterwards when Nancy's dad is like, you know, we've got to do something or whatever. And she goes, I'm going to do something more. I'm going to get her some help. Like, I just saw them as like, I can't imagine a time when those two were ever married. I can't imagine what their marriage looked like because they're just so different.
Yeah,
but it wasn't until I think
they're apart.
I think it wasn't until this screen, like watching of it, that I realized that they weren't together. Like, I don't think it seems that obvious. Like, obviously they don't have the chemistry, but
oh, I see what you mean.
like they don't really make it explicit that they're not in the same house.
And they don't really talk about why or anything like that. It's just,
or that
she
your
just
father
says
this or
separate
your
herself.
father that, or like he's sort of against her, but like it didn't originally like that. Because I, to be honest, I haven't watched this film in a little while. I don't remember that they were divorced or not together.
No, but I kind of like that. It's just very matter of fact. So that's just how her world is. But I guess maybe that's also feeds into why her mum's drinking so much and why her mum might overreact to things.
Do you think? Yeah, they didn't really explore that, and maybe like, and maybe I think the reboot does cover this ground more than the original does, but
I think it does.
With them and what they did to Freddy Krueger, maybe that was like part of the key to them not being together anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's got to put a strain on it, especially
killing someone.
Yeah, is that, you know, that thing you sent us, Nathan, about about how Freddy had killed the first child that they had. That
So I didn't watch that. So that was deleted scenes, was it?
Yeah, apparently deleted scenes. So it's like, so Freddy, not just them, but apparently all the families in the street. He was a child molester as well as a child murderer and killed all their firstborns.
So which I think they should have put that in.
Yeah, so that's why it gave them all the extra motivation to actually for the parents to take the law into their own hands and go and kill him.
Yeah.
But it also sort of maybe explains again why they're separated now because of the strain of doing that.
I mean, I know people don't like the reboot, but I felt like it did cover that ground a little bit better.
I really want to rewatch that again. I only watched it once.
I actually really like the reboot. I don't think it's. I think it's a different kettle of fish, but it still stands alone and it's still a good film. So.
I think it's probably going to fall flat, and this is my memory of it. Like I said, I haven't watched it since it first came out, which was 10 years ago. But when you think of Nightmare on Elm Street, you've got to think of Robert Englund's and Freddy Krueger. Like he is Freddy Krueger. Like if someone else is playing that role, it's not really going to be the same. Do you think that, Sue? Have you watched the reboot recently?
I do. Yeah, I really like the reboot. I've watched it quite a few times, actually. I think. But
are you missing Robert Englund in it?
No, because they presented him as this sort of snivelly, creepy child molester type, which was a whole different type of Freddy Krueger than in this one. So no, it felt like a whole different thing to me.
Do you think that was better?
I just think it's different. I think they both have a place. I liked both of them.
Well, the other one, I haven't seen the reboot, so is that more serious, or is this one, Freddy?
I felt it was
very
a little bit
comical.
Yeah,
with the arms.
Yeah, like the reboot I felt explored a lot more like the ongoing impact of those kind of things happening in people's lives. So it felt a bit more serious. Yeah.
That's like someone's trying to attack you, Sue, like break into your house.
My cat's found a ping pong ball, so she's
Oh,
chasing
cute.
it over the house.
And like I'd said, normally we don't discuss the film in between watching it and coming on camera. But I was just so excited. I didn't realize that Joseph Whipp, who's the sergeant in this film, was the sheriff in Scream. Like I was looking and I'm like, who is that guy? Like he seems so familiar. And it's like, yeah. And then Lynn Shay, who was the teacher. So she's in Insidious, but she's also Magda in Something About Mary.
Yeah, so it's like I didn't connect those dots until you pointed that out, but now I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I did also notice that her surname Shay, there's also a producer named Shay as well, so I'm
Robert
wondering
Shay.
if there's a connection
Yeah,
there.
I wonder if it is. Because she has quite a good career. Did you just pull that out of your butt? Like you're just like, whoop.
Yeah.
You sort of seem to adjust and then...
Yeah, I found my book. I was looking for the Friday 13th one, and I found the Nightmare on Elm Street one that I have, which is part 1, 2, 3, and I also have part 4, 5, 6 on my shelf as well.
Wait, I just moved us to you're a single shot. Let me just move you to hold it up again, Sue, so we can. Dun, dun, dun. So is that the 1, 2, and 3? Is it?
Yeah, it's a novelization. I like the now see Nightmare on Elm Street 3, a major motion picture.
A major motion picture.
Cool.
Major motion.
What's significant?
About part 3.
Oh, just all of them.
That's what we're here to do, Nathan. Oh my god. So, so I watched a documentary on. It's one on Netflix. I'm not sure if you've seen. There's a
Movies That Make Us or whatever.
Movies That Make Us. That's it. Yeah. So they did Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. So I watched that, and I can't believe how this sort of started New Line Cinema. Like they call it the house that Freddie built.
That Freddie built.
But it was such a rickety production. Like it's such a professional looking film, but like people were working on it for free for a lot of the time because they couldn't get the funding. They were just getting friends in to help. Like, it was a lot of behind the scenes drama like going on, and there was a lot of times when it looked like this film wasn't going to get finished.
There's like a 3-hour documentary. I think it's 3 hours or 2.5. I think it's called it's something like I can't remember, but it's something to do with sleep, the title. And that was about the production. And they talked about how they did Glenn's death, the bit where he gets sucked into the bed, and how they had like a whole rotating room and how they had to shoot different angles. It was so impressive, all the work that went into just that one little shot that doesn't look like it's good. But...
we should get into your favorite bit, which is the killer kills.
Mm-hmm.
So there aren't actually too many kills in this movie. So we've got Tina's death, Rod's hanging, and then Glenn getting spat out from his bed, and then mother. So Glenn and Tina, they were filmed in the same gimbal, which they obviously were trying to save money. They reused their bedroom. So it started out with Tina, which was also a rotating room so that she could crawl up the wall,
totally makes sense,
and then fall down. What was your favourite of the 4 deaths that we had in Nightmare on Elm Street?
Me?
You see. Let's go.
Tina would be my favorite death, only because, there's several reasons, but I guess it's the first one, so it's a big shock. It's a lot nastier than I expected it to be. She's really screaming in agony. It takes longer than you expect, so it just felt quite visceral. Did that one work?
Yeah, I am the same. I like that one best as well, because that one, again, because I haven't seen the movie for so long, I've completely forgotten about that, and that just seemed really creative to me as well. Just the way they did it, with, I guess, the room rotating and her like sliding up the wall, then across the ceiling, and then blood everywhere and flying around. And it was actually just really well done, given that back in the day, especially for this movie with a very low budget, nowadays it would all just be CG, but to do it all practically There's a huge amount of artistry in there.
What about
Yeah.
you, Matt?
I think this, while it doesn't have many deaths, they're so creative. Other than Rod's hanging scene, which even still is creative, like how it wraps the
Yeah.
bed sheet around his neck. But yeah, I found obviously Tina's to be the most iconic death, probably out of the 80s. Like it's so good. But I was kind of shocked at Mother's death.
Yeah.
Like when to walk into the room and like Freddy's like on top of her, like flaming still. And then like on top of her, and she's obviously getting burnt alive with him on top of her. Like that's just awful. The only thing that ruins it is like when she's disappearing into the smoke and stuff, her hand lifts.
What the fuck? Why do they do that?
It kind of ruined it, but otherwise
Every
I thought that's a pretty cool death too.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick death though as well. In that she walks into the room, Freddy's on top of her, covers them up, and then next thing pretty much just fading into the bed.
I like how bloody and gushy he looked though. You know, when they put the sheet on him and all the sheet got all sort of wet and bloody and gross. Like
wet and gushy.
Yeah, because he sort of turned into a bit more of a parody of himself in a way over time. But he was gross and nasty in this one.
Yeah, I never really thought he was particularly sort of scary and sinister. He was just this mean, psychotic guy who was having fun with people.
I think, Did you? I think because I've seen it a few times and it's kind of the 80s. It's a little bit more tame. I don't think I was as scared. I wasn't scared really at all.
It
was fun, but I wasn't scared.
I remember we wanted to, when I was a kid, it must have been I don't know, 12, 13 or whatever. And it was on TV. It was like the late night movie. And me and my sister really wanted to watch it. And my mum was like, I'm not having that in the house. I'm not having evil stuff in the house, this kind of thing, right? So we had to walk to the neighbor's house to watch it at their house.
Oh, wow.
So yes, me and my sister trotted off, watched it at the neighbor's house, but it finished at 11 p.m. So we had to walk back home in the dark.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Oh my God, we were so scared. So terrified. Anytime anything happened, like a twig went or a dog barked, like Jesus, and ran.
Oh,
it was really scary.
That makes me think when I was in Amsterdam, and we did some space cake, and we then went for a walk around Vondel Park. And there was a house that looked just like
Freddie's house?
Nancy's house, yeah. And it freaked us out. Obviously, we were high, but it was this white house. And we're like, oh my God. It blew our mind. So it was this movie, while it's not exactly scary, it does have those iconic moments that just stick in your head. Like the iconic I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. There's so many clever moments. Going up the stairs with the gooey sort of mess.
Yeah, that effect looked a little bit cheap. You could see each step happening, but it was still effective.
I liked all the dream play and all the stuff that was very recognizable that you do have in your dreams. And, the bit when she goes into a dream and she's checking whether Glenn's still there and he sort of just pops out from a bush and is like, yeah, what? I love that kind of stuff. And are we going to talk about our favorite moments in the film?
We certainly can. Let's go into our best bits. What's your best bit, Sue?
I love the bit when they're in the English class and the guy at the front is reading that quote from Julius Caesar, and then he goes all slow and she's suddenly in a dream without even realizing she's in a dream. I love that scene. I mean, how many slashers quote Shakespeare anyway? But the whole sequence, I love the way he says it. I love her in her body bag being dragged along the hall and stuff. That whole scene is perfect to me.
You like the whole monitor? Where's your
I was going to say, who was that?
That girl who's wearing a
Where's your whole pass? Screw your whole pass.
Yeah.
And that's kind of echoed again in Scream when Sydney, I think it is, comes out and then there's that janitor mopping the floor.
Yeah, wearing the Freddy jumper.
True.
Yeah. So many little
Nathan?
tidbits.
What's yours?
My favorite bits, it probably would have been probably early on in the movie. Even just like the opening credits bit, with like Freddie making his glove.
Oh, that's
Like
so good.
very Tony Stark just making that. We don't really know the context of anything at that stage. It's just, okay, here's someone making something that's designed for evil. Blah.
Now I'm creeped out.
But yeah, I just thought that just like little bit like really set the scene for the movie. And then obviously Tina's death after that, which followed on pretty closely.
Oh, and the tape. I love when he's playing the tape and calling his mum. Like,
Yeah, that's very 80s.
that's so funny.
using a
Yeah.
tape.
Yeah.
I had one of those tapes.
Oh, really? Sound effects tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many like they build the world very quickly. Like it's it's a very quick film. Like I like that it's not very long. But they manage to build the relationships and the world so quickly. It's very clever where they've done that.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit of some of the other movies, well, the Friday 13th we've just recently seen, where they had quite big casts and took a long while to really get anywhere. That's the difference here. It's very small, tight cast, so it just moves on very fast.
I meant in my notes I did write, I really liked that the relationships were so well defined. Like I thought that was well done. Like I bought that they were all friends and that they were there to help her and stuff. I thought that was well done. But the bit that sort of I thought was this always annoys me. At the end when she talks to her dad and she's like, I'm gonna go to sleep, and then when I bring this guy out, you have to be there, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And she says, come in 20 minutes, and then she does all those booby traps everywhere. Come on. She gave herself 10 minutes to set up those booby traps.
I know.
Should we get
Very Home
into
Alone.
if it was up to me, how would we improve the film?
Sorry.
That was one of my things as well. It's like, seriously, she's calling out across the street. It's 12 o'clock, or just past 12. There's a group of people like just standing there like gawking. It's like, really? Like, why would you be there at like that time of night? And then the guy like won't get her dad. Okay, and then like you said, she gives herself 20 minutes at that stage to do all this Home Alone stuff and like create all these booby traps. It's like ridiculous.
And then get to sleep and then
I need at least half an hour to try to get to sleep. I can't be like saying, okay, I'm going to be asleep by 12:30. Yeah, I don't think so. Like, let's give some like buffer.
It would have taken her at least half an hour to set up those booby traps.
At least.
Half an hour. More than that.
But I did like that she had the book about setting booby traps and things.
Me too.
She was already thinking about that, foreshadowing.
And I like that she put her mum to bed first as well, because I'm like, because mum's going to wake up drunken and stumble into all that stuff.
Oh, no, Mum.
Mother!
Mummy.
Mother!
Yeah, so another thing I would change would be her calling her mother. That's really annoying.
I agree with you.
What do you think of the ending? That's something probably I would look at tightening up a little bit.
Yeah.
Apparently they filmed 5 different endings or something. Like it was
Really?
quite a few different takes on it. What do we think of the ending?
Well, there's I'm just looking at my notes. So the bit where she basically says, "You got no power over me" at the end, and then he disappears into a glittery cloud.
Yes.
I thought that was a little bit lame.
I like the way she calls him shit, though. I love that. You're nothing. You're shit.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then it was like Xanadu, like.
I didn't notice it was glittery, but yeah, you're right.
That just seems a little bit out of character with all the blood and gore, just for him to turn into glitter like a Twilight vampire.
like that meme, that guy. But do you mean the ending with the mum being pulled through the door? And
I really enjoyed that bit.
That gets a lot of shit, but I actually don't think it's that bad.
Get a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how else they could have ended it. I mean, he's a dream creature. He's never going to completely disappear. So they had to reestablish that he's still there. So
that's always been my issue. Like Friday the 13th, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street, has always been probably the third out of the top tier of slasher films, just because Freddy does have so much power. Like, how you're kind of powerless to stop him because he creates the world. So how are you going to kill this being? He doesn't really have a lot of flaws that you like. Even, and that's where Friday the 13th went down the wrong hill, and Halloween's done the same thing. Like, where they make these killers way too powerful, and then you don't have any chance of like trying to get rid of them, trying to defeat them. So that does always, because I think this started off like that right from the word go.
That's interesting. I never really got that from this, but you're correct. I never thought about it that way, but yeah, you're correct.
You don't have a chance, and that's what I do like. I kind of like the ending in that, yeah, she there's no way that she can stop it. Like, and she's just he's just playing with her, and I would have liked to see more of that, of him like playing with her, more, making it more obvious that she had no chance. But then you get the sequels, and it's like, well, it's all sort of retconned, like in number 3. So
yeah, you find out how she managed to sort of defeat him.
Yeah.
In a way.
But also, we don't really find out. All right, he was a child killer who the parents ganged up on and killed. Why has he now got all this superpower where he can like get people in their dreams and come back to life and do all this stuff? It's like,
I think because he was always meant to be sort of an embodiment of evil, and now he's been released from earthly things. I guess now he can be wherever the hell he wants to be.
okay.
And be
That's
evil, I guess.
yeah, but they don't really address that. So
No,
they do in the sequels. I think like the fact that it is like a franchise, I do kind of like that it's left a bit ambiguous in a way.
I don't mind endings that don't explain everything. To be honest, I don't mind not knowing all the details of why something's there. I can accept that there are things in the world that I don't understand, and that's okay. But I know you like to know all the nitty gritty, Nathan. So
well, yeah, sometimes I'm a detailed person, but sometimes I can accept that some movies I don't have to have that. Some movies, like this one, probably it's more just strapping you go for the ride. It's like a showground ride, like a ghost train type thing. You don't understand what's going on. You don't have to know the backstory behind it all. You're just in there and you get a few scares and a few thrills and have a bit of fun, and then you get out at the end.
I remember a long time ago I read about where the idea from this came from. Have either of you read anything about where the idea for the film came from?
No. Was it something Balinese nightmare thing?
It was about I think like in 82 or 83 or something, there was a group of kids that all happened to live on the same street that were having nightmares. I don't think they were about the same person, but they were all having nightmares. And one of the kids had actually cut off his eyelids to try to stay awake because the nightmares were so bad. And like Wes Craven or whoever, I think he partially wrote it with someone else, but someone in charge of the writing read that and took the story from there. And I'm like, that's really, I never forgot that because of the eyelid thing. Like,
that's disgusting. They should have included that in there.
Right?
But no, like, yeah, the ending, I can see that would bother some people. But yeah, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. It just was just part of the fun.
I did think it was interesting that Mother kept the glove tucked up in the furnace thing. It's like, is that the best place to keep it? Like, isn't that going to get burnt up every time I turn on the heater?
Oh, yeah, true. Plus, it's evidence of a crime, isn't it?
Yeah, and your husband is like part of the police force.
Yeah, how much did he know about it? Was he?
It's a souvenir she kept for reasons.
Just because I.
We didn't really talk about John Saxon and how amazing he is.
He's always good.
I think he was probably better in Black Christmas, but always good.
He's always good.
So, should we talk about our final thoughts?
Oh.
So, Nathan.
Me first. Okay. No, that's fine. It's like, yeah, again, I hadn't seen this for a long time, and just watching it, I just was surprised by how many iconic shots are in here, and how many, I guess, scenes and things that other movies have ripped off. So yeah, it's definitely significant in the world of horror movies and just filmmaking in general, and a moment in time. Yeah, I thought it was really great. I enjoyed it very much. I didn't get scared, but like I said before, it's just a fun ride. So
Pash
yeah,
or try?
Pash.
Oh, your boyfriend now, Nancy.
A Pash with a big prosthetic tongue coming out of the phone.
So, Sue, what was your thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Well, it's funny because I haven't watched it for a while, but I used to watch it like a lot. So once it started, I was like saying it at the same time they were. I was like, well, I remember so many lines from this film. I love this film. It's gritty and grimy, and he was a lot more vicious back then, which I really like. It was 80s, but it had a bit more of an edge to it than a lot of the 80s stuff for me. And it did used to scare me. Like, it doesn't now because of familiarity, but it did used to scare me. So yeah, plus. It's a big Pash for me.
What a surprise. So for me, yeah, this is an iconic film. It's an iconic 80s film, but I think it's, as far as horrors go, this is one that is up there for amazing creative kills, beautiful direction. While I don't think the script is, as good as it could be, and I think some of the later ones are better, but for the amount of budget that they had and the issues that they had to go behind the scenes, I think this is an iconic film, something that everyone should see, and yeah, it's definitely a Pash from me too. A Pash all round. What a surprise. I mean, what could you say about Nightmare on Elm Street? Like, it's got to be a Pash, doesn't it?
Yeah. I remember in the 80s reading somewhere that Freddy Krueger's fan club had, like, that he received more, that he had more fans in his fan club or something than, like, whoever the big star at the time was, like the
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it was like Freddy Krueger had, like, I think he was the second biggest fan mail group then.
More Twitter followers.
Else. Yeah, well, we didn't have that then.
Well, yeah, we do now, Sue.
Being a bit horrified by that because technically, he's a child murderer.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I just remember like the show and like having like things like Freddy show bags and Freddy gloves and Freddy masks and hats and all that sort of stuff, and it was very kid friendly. But really, a movie is not.
We didn't even talk about the bath scene. I just realized. Oh my god! But we do have Twitter and we do have social media, and I think we've got more followers than Michael Jackson as well. You can follow us at Horror Movie on Twitter. Now, Horror Movie Freaks on Facebook and the Horror Movie Freaks on Instagram. We get together every Thursday night, so join us on YouTube and join the chat channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts live. If not, if you're watching it after the fact, then leave the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you get a little alert when we go live. So next fortnight, we're going to be watching the Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy's Revenge Part 2. So it's the 9th of December.
Curious.
Yeah, it's been ages since I've seen that.
Same. I don't remember much at all. So it'll be really interesting.
Especially now that I'm hearing it's the gay one.
I don't even remember why it's called the gay one. So
I remember why it's called the gay one.
Oh, okay. Should be good. So join us on the 9th of December. Make sure you watch the film beforehand because obviously we will cover all the spoilers. Spoiler alert at the end of the video. That's what you do, isn't it? That's how you run a YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Nathan and Sue, for joining us this fortnight, and we'll see you on the 9th of December.
See you.
Bye.